So I have one last question before we do go to the audience, and that's to talk about, like talk to each of you about why do you think there's a reluctance or hesitancy from some U.S. service members and family members about coming to Korea? And is Korea an assignment of choice, or is slogan, or is it the real truth? Now, I have my own opinion on that, but Joe, let's go to you first.
I definitely believe that it is an assignment of choice. Now, if you would have asked me that in 1996, I probably could tell you something different. But a lot of it was, again, because of the unknown that was there, and a lot of the quality of life was obviously taking place since that time up to date. So that made a difference. So it's definitely an assignment of choice. But I think there's the key parts to that is, first of all, those individuals that are there coming back, when they leave Korea and come back to the United States, you know, encourage them, and I know many of them are doing it already, is to share their stories. You know, and a lot of times we're so quick to tell the bad things that happen on an assignment and not so much the good parts of the assignment. So I would ask that those that do go to come back and share those goods as well as the bad parts of their experiences. And also for those that are there, if you see some things that may need some improvement here and there, because there's no perfect place anywhere that you go, then voice your opinions and your recommendations to your chain of command. There's no doubt that they will listen. I mean, and Troy, you can attest to this as well. When we came in, if it was an issue to you, that meant you didn't need it. So you didn't ask the question about anything you may need or what you thought. That's obviously has changed, and the command has listened, and so they have made things tremendously better as far as the quality of life for our service members and our families there. But we need to share that story. And I am with sponsorship is key. You know, that sponsor should be someone that's positive, upbeat, and again, not necessarily tell you everything that's peachy creams, but tell you what's good, bad, ugly, and answer your questions on what you need as far as if you're coming in as a single service member and or with a family member. So sponsorship's key. So I would encourage, you know, the units out there, and I'm sure they're doing it already, is to ensure you employ those individuals that are coming to Korea with a good sponsor. And with technology, as I mentioned earlier today, you can always go online and find out a lot of things, but nothing like an individual that's on the ground that can tell you about the assignment and what's going on in their community. So definitely, again, the end, it is an assignment of choice.
Well, you brought up one point there about the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you don't talk about those issues, then they don't get addressed. It's just like, you know, if you ignore a standard, then the standard doesn't exist. You know, that's kind of the best way I could compare that. So, and you're right, every assignment has its downfalls, but when you talk about them, it's just what makes it much, much better. And I think that's what happened throughout time in Korea is, you know, the more you talk about it, the more it gets addressed and the command listens. And now look at what Korea is today. I didn't recognize Camp Humphreys when I went back to it. I totally agree. And also share your experiences about what is good about it. Because if you don't, you'll miss out on something. The best kept secret in the Army, right? and to me, that is Korea. Felicia, over to you. What are your thoughts, please?
So to continue with what both of you have said, I have to agree. From a spouse perspective, I do believe it's also an assignment of choice. I also believe you need to share your experiences as a spouse, you know, link up with other military spouses, and then we help those who are coming behind us. I am now a retired Army spouse, but I still also allow the other spouses who are in our community here in Humphreys who are married to active duty service members to say, hey, I've been where you're going, so I'm here to help. But I do believe it is assignment of choice, and the reluctance comes in, I do believe, when people pass on false information, and they're basically repeating what they have heard someone else say. So they have not read about it or researched it on their own. And so again, I believe that's where the reluctancy comes in, just by repeating or restating what something someone else has said and it's not even true.
Oh, no, you're exactly right. Again, I have a whole story about that. Having spent 5 years in Korea and 10 months of deployments there, believe me, I think I don't say I've heard it all, but I've heard a lot. And hopefully we'll have time, I'll share that with you. Lieutenant Rue, over to you, please. What are your thoughts? Is it a slogan or is it the real truth? And how do we convince people that it is the truth?
Yes, sir. I think that while Korea was an assignment of choice for myself and my family, I think every airman, soldier, sailor, Marine, everyone who's out there, they have to want to be there. I think I got to experience Korea kind of twofold. I got to live in Seoul with my spouse, in an apartment. I was living the life in Seoul. And then I also got to experience Korea by myself down in Camp Humphreys. So I've lived that single airman and also that command sponsorship. I've lived both. So I think a lot of times it's easy for our active duty members to feel alone, that they're in a new place. It's unfamiliar. Their family's not there. And if you want trouble, you can find it. We've all seen the bars outside Osan and Kunsan and in Seoul. And so I think a lot of people, they don't make the best of it. They don't reach out. And that's unfortunate because I really do. I love Korea and I love the time I got to spend there. But I think it has to be the assignment that your choice for yourself. I don't think I've met a ton of people that were apprehensive when they first got there, but then, you just drag them out for a beer and some barbecue and you have a great time. And then, within a couple of weeks, they're like, wow, I really do appreciate this opportunity and to be here. So while at first it may not be for everyone, I think most people generally warm up to it. But yeah, and then the command sponsorship is key. If you have the opportunity to take your family overseas, that was a goal of my husband and I's after he separated from active duty himself. He wanted, once I had the opportunity to go overseas, we took it. I think that there's challenges there for families as well, the logistical pieces and, every day from diapers to groceries, just learning a new country. That's always going to present itself. But I think the reward was worth it at the end. I would do it again. I'll leave it at that.
There you go. That's what I was waiting to hear. When you tell somebody you'd go back, that says a lot. So I appreciate your comments.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Kim, what would you tell anybody who may have concerns about being stationed in Korea? You've done a lot. You've been there your whole life. What would you say?
Oh yeah, I believe some family members may hesitate to come to the Korea because Korea is still they thought Korea is still in the middle of war because we had armistice, and technically, and North Korea is right above the South, and there have been several sudden military actions by North Korea that badly affected the peace on the Korean Peninsula. Well, I think I also have to admit that Korea is still not well known to the U.S. public somehow, and some family members, seems to believe that Korea is a bit dangerous place to go, and there might be a fewer things to do during their assignment in Korea than in Germany. This is one of I figure out that something going on there. But I think I'd like to tell them about this. Korea is the best choice who seeks unique experience and want to make close friends in the Oriental countries. I firmly believe, they working with foreign military is one of the unique experience for them. As I mentioned earlier, KD-VA program is unique. And KD-VA is actually well trained. They are, really a top class. 1% of the total the populations. They are very smart enough to take care of all the US, the newcomers over here. I mean, it's very unique. There's no similar program. They don't have Germany like this kind of system. It's only in Korea. And Katusas are Korean, but wear the same uniform and achieve the same mission. You know, in the same unit with the U.S. service members, they can tie it up really very closely. You know, so experiencing this unique program might give them a broader insight into the foreign, and military affairs at might be same time. And Katusas are your comrade, and will be a big supporter of them, I think. And I think they can actually. I think newcomer doesn't know about Katusa. Katusa, what is Katusa, right?
Yeah.
So we have to actually let them understand what is Katusa's role over here, not only for military support, but also for for family supporters too. Because Katusa also has the same, family in Korea. They can get each. Our Katusa Veterans Association tried to promote this kind of the family gathering together. This is very aggressive. So besides in Korea, it's one of the developing country too. And also become one of the leading countries in the economics and politics. They can see it on their own eye, I believe. The experience in Korea would give family members insight about how Korea made, this country developed so fast. They can see that, or this kind of, from the 1950 up to the 2020s. So I think, there's a lot of things to do in Korea. And maybe much, more than I think in Germany or somewhere else. So, also, the Camp Humphrey is the biggest, the military compound in overseas. And then on top of it, the biggest PX in the Asia Pacific regions. This is good choice for them, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I proudly introduce Korea as great assignment for newcomers. I think that they have to advertise and this kind of things then. Thank you.
You mentioned the Katusa, not knowing about it real quick. We have a twice a week newsletter that we send out. It's called Soldier Today. And we just did an article about a week or so ago about the Katusa program and sent it out. And some of the responses we got back from people out there who've never been to Korea had no idea what it was, thought it was very interesting.